What's going on, Shield Brothers and Shield Maidens? I'm True.
And I'm Brown.
And today we are talking about our monthly wrap up here, where we're going to discuss various topics, as well as the fact that we did what this month, Mark? What did we do?
We hit our 200 subscriber goal, which is
Hell yeah.
insane. So, firstly, thank you to everyone that's
Yes.
watching, will watch, that subscribed, that will subscribe. Just to anyone that hears this, thank you so much. Crazy. We set that goal kind of based on what we were seeing trend wise for engagement. Uh, Seemed like a realistic goal. As we hit January, it seemed a little less realistic, but these last few weeks, the community really came together, and we hit it last night. Last night for me, early this morning for True, and I just couldn't believe it. I barely could sleep. I was so excited. So thank you so much to everyone. We also do uh, we met the 200 goal, right? So we're gonna do the giveaway, which
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna do here live just in a minute, but maybe we'll just see if anyone joins so they can witness that. But for
Absolutely.
now, we're just gonna do that the giveaway at first, and then we're gonna look at our month of January in a nutshell. Right, we're gonna show you where we started, where we ended, and then we're gonna look forward into February. And we might mention some other things beyond that. We have a lot of things that we want to put into motion that we want to start, but they're not really cemented yet, and we still need to navigate through them and spend the time to plan them properly. But excited. I'm rambling
Yes, so
already. If you
excited.
can't tell, it's probably the most energetic I've been on a video. My eyes are wide. I'm crazy. I didn't sleep at all. So excited.
I wasn't expecting this level of energy. Calm down, man.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, you guys know True just came to Japan to visit me, so that still riding that high. That was 2 weeks of just going everywhere, which was amazing. You can see we're
Yeah,
decked out because we're nerds.
absolute
These are some
nerds.
jackets we picked up for our upcoming Lancer stuff. We're going to be wearing these, so a little showcase to you.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Um,
Oh, one
yeah,
shot, one
we're
kill,
just
got your
we're
six.
one shot, one kill. Yeah, so we're just excited.
So
But
excited.
you got anything True that you want to get off your mind before we just jump into the giveaway?
You know, the only thing that's on my mind is the fact that we had such few things planned for January, and we ended up cranking out a lot. Do we want to start that real quick?
Sure, that'll work. We'll switch up the flow
Just a little bit,
because that's
because
crazy. It is
I
crazy.
it feels necessary to get through real quick. So at the
I agree.
start, this is what we actually had for our monthly calendar. We had a few things planned. The check marks were for the videos that got uploaded and all that stuff. Um, and there was a few changes, as you can see. Like, we didn't end up doing Myths of Toldif because obviously being in Japan we couldn't really do that. The DC-20 guys, Mark and Fry got that taken care of, no problem. Um, but we had to shift a few things around. But that was the starting outlook. Now, for the actual wrap up, though, what we ended with was all of this.
A little
We
more
had
crazy.
shorts, we had Lancer, we had random like GM tips basically. Obviously, the DC-20 all came out no problem. Ended up doing a lot more GM tips than expected. We finished off the Daggerheart kind of like class build series, if you want to call it that, character build series, however you want to look at that. We definitely finished that off, added in a few more things. So yeah, it just got crazy for us.
Yeah, I think we took good advantage of being together to knock out a few shorts and try to share our journey with you as well. But I do think we want to try to keep YouTube Shorts like a reoccurring thing, but it may not be
Yeah.
as frequent as it was in January just because we're not all physically located together. So you may see more independent stuff from that. But
Unfortunately, because we are geographically separated, but yeah, we definitely had to take advantage of being in Japan, and that was just so much fun. We did way too much. We were walking like 10 to 15 miles a day, getting about 30 to 70 floors a day. It was insane how much we were
it was a
traveling
lot.
around. So,
Yeah.
but absolutely love it. But man, let's get into the actual giveaway portion because I kind of want to know
Yeah.
who won. I want to know who got this.
Let's do it. Do you want to show the dice bag off first, our dice bags, or you want to do
Yeah,
that
yeah,
later?
yeah. So
We'll tease them a little bit more.
I made sure to fill this up so you got an idea for how big this dice bag's going to be for you guys. But I can carve an image and have carved this in here. It's a serpent here, but Mark, I did one for all the guys. They have one personal item on there, and that's on one side, and then they had one that was specific to their game, or to their character they're playing in the Rise of Tiamat campaign. So Mark was obviously a druid with the Emerald Enclave, and then he asked for, it's your daughter's middle name, correct?
Daughter's middle name and mother-in-law's first name, Midori, in Japanese means green.
Yep.
Also my favorite color. If you can't tell, I'm wearing everything green right now.
Which is why I painted it green. I like a lot of Viking stuff. If you couldn't tell by like the altar in the back, and then my rings, typically my stuff tends to be Viking in relation.
All your characters and all your lore, yeah.
It's just something I love, but what can I do? So I've got this filled up with dice. It's a hefty bag. You know what I mean? It's a hefty bag, so it ain't nothing. You know what I mean? It ain't nothing. But I do a lot of different leatherworking stuff, so you may see certain things in the future that we end up doing. I also do small ones as well, so you never know what you might see on our channel as far as being given away kind of deal. So, but that
small one's good for traveling other countries with coins as their currency.
I was using it, so I had brought dice with me, not realizing that I had it in my bag. I didn't realize I had the dice bag in there until I got there, and I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect for all the coins because there's such a coin-heavy sort of culture here. So I took out all the dice, threw in all the coins. Perfection. Fit in the pocket just right. I loved it.
And you should never travel without your dice. Let's be honest. So.
Seriously, though. That's why they're in every single bag that I own.
Right.
But do you got that wheel ready?
Oh, yes. I mean, I can throw it over my face. That might be...
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
Do I have the wheel ready? I do not have the wheel ready. I have the link. Give me a second.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I had to pour myself some tea that we got from Kyoto, so...
It's all good. All right, I've got the wheel here.
Oh, my goodness, that's good. Oh, look at that.
Correct that real quick.
Yeah.
There you
Expand that. Shoot.
Take the mask off of there. Yep. There we go. Is that big enough?
Right, perfect. Yeah, that works.
Okay. I'm going to spin it.
Go for it.
3, 2, 1.
Survey says.
Exciting. I'm getting nervous. Et Tales from Elsewhere Games.
Yo,
congratulations,
Tales from Elsewhere. Dude.
He is definitely one of our more recent and engaging people, so definitely appreciate him and all the comments he gives us and all the love he shares. He posted a video today, I think, or yesterday. I got to check it out.
Oh yeah. So Tales from Elsewhere, just connect with us, man. I gotta get with you about what image you want on the bag. If you want like something on the back, if you want like a nice long image like I got here, or something like what Mark had, we'll have to get together and discuss that. That's also a hat, and then we have a sticker that I typically have around here somewhere, but I don't. Oh, I do.
It's just the logo, yeah.
It's just literally a little logo. That's all it ends up being. So But we got that for you. So get with us, and we'll get that over to you.
I'll send him a message as well, just to double check, make sure he's watching.
Yeah, get that started. No, that's good. Okay, cool. Man, that's our first one, so very exciting. Very, very exciting.
First of many, hopefully. But yeah, that's crazy, man. Can't believe we made it still. Congratulations.
Who would have thought? But hey, we're not done, though. We have our February outlook here. Let's get that up here. So right now we're trying to reconnect with some folks, or at least I am trying to connect with some folks to see when we're going to actually have time for some of these things. So I've got to get with a few people for like Told If, my Star Wars crew, got to see them. But we have our 4th episode coming out on Friday. All the DC-20 stuff is loaded and ready to go. We got another GM Tips video coming up in a couple weeks. So, we're still moving a lot of this along.
Yeah, and some of this might change, right? Other things again with the check marks, they're kind of already like edited and posted and like scheduled. Some of the other
Mhm.
stuff we're still either needing to film or touch up, so the dates might change too. I know that me and True want to do that Integrity of the Shield. I don't know about him. I haven't talked about it yet, but I'd like to get that out sooner because got me on it. So
Oh yeah.
we'll see if we shift that at all.
Well, it's been a fun series, and although like I know it doesn't get like a lot of attention, but it's something that people won't
It
realize that they
will.
need until they need it.
Yeah, it will. I think too, not to shift too much away from that, but the DC 20 stuff, just for everyone's awareness, because it's kind of what I cover. Expect that to go through March because there's 12 classes in DC 20 right now, and we're basically just doing one build for each class, um, not including multi classes. So the plan with that is to at least do 12 builds. That'll take us through March, and then we got other stuff planned, but I'll leave that for later to talk more about what it might be.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, for Daggerheart, you'll start seeing some more Daggerheart stuff get it filled in and within this calendar here. I plan on doing adversaries, environments, and magic items, especially for the crafting of magic
Mm,
items. I think it's really easy to do. It's just a matter of knowing what to plug and play in for the different items you want to create. So, gonna get into all of that within February, hopefully. I even have a campaign frame that I want to bring in where I'm pulling over a little bit of that World of Darkness themology, if you want to call it that. More of the werewolf theme coming into play. If you want to get more horror, and especially when your players want to transform into something other than an animal of some kind, and they want to get more lycanthrope or even vampire eventually. So I've got a lot in the works for all that. So
yeah, it's excited to see that, and I do want to say too for True, and I think he had the idea before this, but we definitely pay attention to our comments and our engagement. So I think someone mentioned adversaries, and maybe it was items or something similar, and so we definitely want to like prioritize those things if we see that people want them.
absolutely.
But as True said, we have a lot we want to do, so it's just when do we do what, and your comments and suggestions help us navigate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's that was actually from a suggestion because I wasn't even thinking about the environments just yet, and
Mm.
so when
Oh, that's
someone
right, environment.
mentioned
That's
that,
what it was.
yeah, so environments, they mentioned adversaries and they did mention magic items. I was already working on the magic item side because let's face it, they didn't
Yeah.
have anything for crafting, and sometimes you got to go through and discuss how some of these magic items work, especially the more complex items. But I think Daggerheart has done a great job of creating magic items that are easy to replicate in different ways to get different
Mm.
effects, and you can do so on the fly, which is rather nice. But yeah, I figured that was something that was nice to know, so we'll get that going here pretty soon.
Yeah, I gotta play more. I gotta play more Daggerheart so I can get some magic items going. I haven't gotten to use those yet. I will say
Just
too,
got to
just
get the
quick
fellas
thing
together.
on right, quick thing about environments. Like just personally for me, like I have all these books over here next to me. You can't see, but all the books for different game systems, I usually skip right over environments. I'm not gonna lie to you, but that is such a huge part of the game that can really add elements and flavor, and make your mindset really wrap into what you're doing. But it is easily looked over, at least in my opinion. So I was excited to see
Absolutely.
that comment too, because I knew we're gonna cover that since someone wanted it. So
Well, and
I'll learn something
environments
too.
within Daggerheart are so different than other games. Like there's actual
Mm,
environmental effects going on, and they really do give you quite a
mm,
bit to work with that. It's not just it's similar to like layer actions within Daggerheart, or sorry, within D&D, but it's
right.
more of just the environment itself. Like they even have social encounters in there. Like if you're in the market environment, some of these things might come up. So they really do make you think about environments in a different way, and it's kind of refreshing in that aspect. So definitely looking forward to that. But yeah,
I
so
think
love the
that's a good thing
suggestion.
about the
So
Daggerheart system in general is that they do things a little bit differently, right?
they do it more
People
simplistically. I
like.
mean, it is a rules light sort of situation, so you can do a lot with that kind of sort of scaffolding that they've created, which makes me happy because it's a lot easier to do some of these things that you would otherwise have to put in a lot of intensive labor into getting these homebrews right. This it's a
Right.
lot of it you can just do on the fly. So I like that a lot.
Yeah. Um, and then I think you already mentioned Lancer, but obviously all super excited about Lancer, so we're going to talk about it every second we can, or at least I will. Please follow us and engage with us as we go into that,
Yeah.
because we just know other people will love it too, and we're like super nerdy about it. So hopefully we'll put on a good show for everyone. But can't wait to see the Lancer stuff start to come out. I know the first video or two might just be kind of your basic introduction to the system and things like that, but we definitely are getting into self plays and more. So
Absolutely. Yeah, we're trying to bring out more of these series. Like, it feels like we're doing a lot of like brand new series, but we want to get these started so that way we can just keep adding on to them as we go through these months and really build those up to be something worthwhile. Even though it just feels like we're starting a bunch of new things, we are and we aren't. Like, we're starting it to get it started instead of just trying to do all the things. We're actually starting these because we know we're going to keep these going. So um, I know it can sometimes feel like, why are we starting all these projects? Are you guys actually going to get to all of these and legitimately build them up? And the answer is absolutely yes. We got 4 people to do it,
yes,
so
we will.
you know.
Yeah, we just a quick thing too for me. I would like to say for anyone, I'll share my opinion on it, but have an open mind. And this is one thing I put a comment on, I think, on a YouTube video we had. But when I started playing tabletop role playing games, it was with this team, right, with True and Mindy and Fry. That's my introduction to tabletop games. I've never played it before that point. So D&D 5e obviously was the first one that I started playing, and so naturally I was like, I'm all about D&D 5e, and that's all I would
Yeah.
ever do. I remember even early on, you guys were talking about other systems, and I was just over here like, I don't care, I don't care. But now that I've like been exposed to it, and I've been around it for a few years, I'm like, this is great. So don't lock yourself into one game system. Like more
Yeah.
power to you if you've got one you really enjoy and you're full bore into it. But don't be blind to the other stuff because like Daggerheart, I'm loving little things from there. DC 20, I'm loving a lot of things from there.
Yep.
Genesis, there's definitely elements I enjoy. Lancer, that's that's a whole nother like gonna bring in a whole nother mindset to me. So just keep an open mind and watch all of our stuff. You might find out you like something different. Never knew it.
Well, and especially if you decide to try it out and really give these things a solid try, like I tell most people, if you try the Genesis system out and you actually give it like a good, I don't know, about 5 games worth, if
Mm.
not less than that, you're gonna find that you actually really enjoy the creative mindset you can really bring into this and really do anything. Like, there's no rules restrictions on like magic. When you cast magic, there's not a whole lot of rules restrictions. You're just building up difficulty. Whereas other systems are actively telling you you can't just decide to create a magical effect out of nowhere. And sometimes that gets me hot because it's like, forget you. Like, I can definitely do that. What do you mean I can't? I can just make it more
This is high
difficult.
fantasy. I'll do what I want.
Exactly right. When's a book going to tell me what to do? Forget that. So that's why I
Yeah.
like really got into Genesis, not just because it's Star Wars, but also because of the fact that you can apply it to anything. But I
Mm.
wouldn't have known about Genesis if I hadn't started in on like what's a good Star Wars RPG out there. And they of course have the D20 and the Dungeons and Dragons version of that, but it just wasn't as satisfying. Much
Yeah.
like D&D is a very satisfying system, don't get me wrong, but if I have to homebrew so much to make it work, it feels wrong to me. But it's still a good system. But Daggerheart brings in like a lot of great things that you wouldn't have otherwise thought about. It's like it just brings in these elements from Genesis, elements from what do you call it, D&D, and really creates something nice and easy. And then DC 20 gives, like, especially the hardcore like math nerds, a lot to work with. You know what I mean? Because it can get so complicated, but it's really not that complicated. Like, it is in the way that you build it, but once you have it down, it's really not that hard. And it just takes a little bit of time to kind of switch gears, which is what took me a second when we first did our one shot. I was like, I don't know, but as I got more into it, it got easier and easier. So you really should try these different systems out because you'll find elements that you do enjoy
Mm.
about each one. So
Yeah,
it's just a
I
matter of
think that's
finding
the
what
thing
works for
too.
you.
It's definitely, in my opinion, more fun to play like a unique, but like a different system that has its own set of rules and things. Even though some things might be similar, it's more fun to play different systems than just reflavor the system. Kind of to
Yeah.
your point where you mentioned like the Star Wars D&D version, like not as fun as going full board Genesis Star Wars what's it called? Galaxy of the Empire. I forget
Edge
the
of the
name.
Empire.
Edge of the
So you
Empire.
got
There you
Edge of the
go.
Empire, Age
Only
of
played once.
Rebellion,
Don't
and
judge
Force
me.
and Destiny. But
There you go.
they're just different flavors
Good
of each
game.
other. But yeah, I mean, there's so much out there, and you just got to try a few things out every now and again, especially when you see something's like on sale or whatever, Like, why not?
Yeah, for sure. And you never know unless you look it up. I
Yeah.
just got, I finally bought the Lancer book, and I'm not going to show it here because we have another video planned for that. But it's cool. Just having the
I'll
book
show
and
it.
looking through it is cool. You don't even
I'll
have to
show
play.
it off.
You got it. I'll show the alternate art one then, since
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have the. This
But
is
this is a
the alternate
thick book.
one. It's thick. Yeah, it's like what 460 pages or something. This one is.
Yeah,
It's heavy. This thing is
it
like
is.
I'd
It's
believe 8,
wild.
9, 10 pounds. This thing.
But it's so cool. And I like the art in this thing. I absolutely love it. Like, if that
Yeah, I
doesn't
love
get
the art
you
style.
excited to get into some mech combat, I don't know what will.
I mean, it's like anime and mechs and pilots,
Yeah.
and this is like everything I loved growing up. Power Rangers and anime. I'm in. You got me. As soon as I heard the name Lancer, that's a cool name. I'm in.
Yeah, I wish I knew about it sooner because honestly, I've been wanting to find one.
Hmm.
Genesis has that ability, but obviously with like not very many people playing Genesis, I wanted to find something that a lot of people play. And when you look on the Reddit and seeing how many people are actually part of that community and play this game,
Yeah,
I'm like,
Lancer's
there's
huge.
hope.
I didn't even
There's
realize it.
hope.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's some
Like
great
we could have been
YouTubers out
playing
there
this
that
in
do
person all
Lancer
those years
content.
ago.
Yeah. Well, there's some great YouTubers out there that do great Lancer content. And just
And,
going through a lot of those videos, I was just like, this sounds amazing. How is this not more well known right now? So,
yeah, I think
feels like a
it's kind of
crime.
like Star Wars in a way for me too, where it's got like a huge lore and like its own world, and it's like
Hmm.
it's got politics, and it goes so deep. Every time I watch a Lancer video, I'm like, I don't really know what's going on, but there's so much going on. But it's you can learn it, right? But it's
Oh yeah.
that really enhances the game for me. Is there's so much like development to it, and like
Hmm.
history and lore, and where I know we not to go on this tangent, but we talked with each other before about D&D and like Faerun and how there's not really any. You know what Faerun is, kind of the elements of it, but like the lore and the history and stuff, you start to get a little lost, maybe.
Well, there's so much, but the problem is that it's scattered across so many different books and game supplements and all this stuff. Like, there's no one area to find all this stuff out at. And it's
Mm,
almost like you had to be a part of it from the beginning to really get into
yeah.
Faerun, which I think is a disservice to Faerun because Faerun's amazing when you really learn all the
Mm,
things. It really is an incredible world that has been built here. It's just you have to read all the novels, you have to get into all the game supplements. And let's face it,
mm,
as a new player coming into that, you're not really willing to do that, which is why so many people, I think this is the reason why so many people got into world building because they didn't want to have to
yeah.
learn this entire place that's already been done. And when you get a player that's been playing within Faerun for a while, and there you are, brand new to it, you
Yeah.
feel at a disadvantage. You don't feel, and you feel like you might do it a disservice if you're going to GM for that, or sorry, DM for that. And
Mm.
that player is going to be like, I'm sorry, you're doing this all wrong. Like you completely pull them out of the game almost immediately
That's a
because
great
you don't
point.
know as much as they do. It sucks.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's hard to be I don't want to say the leader, but the GM, DM, if you know less about the world and structure than everyone else that's playing. So uh,
Absolutely.
it's definitely a factor.
Unfortunately, so, which is why so many GMs get into world building and then they get bogged down by the fact that they now have to create this whole world, but at least they'll know it.
Mm. Hmm.
It kind of sucks in that aspect. But at least with, I think, what I like about Critical Role and Exandria doing Wildmount and Tal'Dorei and all that,
Yeah.
what you have is you've grown with them. Like, especially if you've watched it, you've kind of grown with it and you've learned as you go through their different campaigns. And that's a little easier to get into than the Faerun setting, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Critical Role did a good job of like I guess sectioning it out. I'll say, but it's
Yes.
like here's the campaign we're doing and all the elements within, and there's like a greater world all around it, but really we're touching these elements. So it was easy for me to follow them, like being a new TTRPG player and like not knowing much about D&D in general. And they do their own little homebrew stuff here and there, and
Yep.
catching on at first was like, okay, that's what they're doing.
Hmm.
But that's what really enticed me to like Critical Role, for example. It's easy to follow.
It's very easy to follow, but I like how they took this almost like World of Warcraft style of going through the different
Right.
sections of the each
Right. Yeah, I
continent.
love that.
You know, like it felt so. It felt really natural, and maybe that's just because of that kind of game design feel. But
Mm.
I think Matt did an amazing job with this world building. Like, I'm hoping he still maintains campaign 4 in Exandria, just doing that divergence like I talked
Let's
about in
see.
my
I'm
previous
against you
video.
on that.
Yeah, I'm hoping, but
I
at
want
the
to see
same
something
time,
new.
like, I'm not against the fact that he might choose to do something totally different. Because I can
Yeah.
understand wanting to do something fresh and new, but at the same time, it's gonna feel fresh and new, even though it's still in Exandria. Like, if it were to still be in Exandria, it'll
Mm.
feel fresh and new because the place has been destroyed. You know, like all the gods
Mm.
have left, and after the calamity, that's a lot to deal
Right.
with.
It's not the
So I
same.
don't. It's not the same, and I don't think we're gonna see it as the same, even though they are in the same places. I don't think we're
Mm.
gonna see it as the same at all. So
That's true.
I could see it go either way, and I'd be happy either way. Just saying.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see in a few months.
We will see.
Oh,
Hopefully,
yeah.
I get that Daggerheart box in pretty soon with all the official rules and everything else. That limited
Yeah.
edition, I need that in already.
When are you supposed to get it? You're not checking the tracking every day?
What do you mean
By the
check the
way,
tracking?
Darrington Press, if you're watching this, I'm APO overseas on a military base, and I could not purchase it. I had to ship it to my brother to get it to me. Like maybe next time, look at the APO, AP. Everybody overseas in the military wants
Yeah,
your product.
I was gonna say
Not a
that
not a
and
stab at you. That frustrated me. I gotta wait
well,
way longer than everybody else just because of where I'm at.
nobody thinks about that though. Like that, like very few people, unless they've dealt with that before, they're not gonna think about it. So like, I'd cut them a little slack on that one,
That's
but at the
true.
same time, like, yeah,
And
find a way, please.
they got my slack. I just, I had to throw that out there.
Now, what I want them to do is to be able to send that to me early so I can do the unboxing video. I'm just saying.
There you go. Plug. You know, thumbnail's already made. We're just
Yeah.
waiting.
Basically, yeah. So, no, I'm excited for
Yeah.
that. I can't wait for all these things that are coming out. I think it's this year. DC 20's coming out with their stuff this year, right? Or is it next year?
It's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a good year. They sneak peek hopefully coming up really soon for 0.9.
Ooh.
I'm a Patreon as well, and last week it was pretty much hinted at that all the classes are done and it's in final like revisions. It's at the editing team to compile it into the PDF and release it. So
Okay.
should be coming very soon for 0.9 at least with all the subclasses, and we can go full bore into that. This
Yeah.
is like the third time I said full bore in this live. I don't know why I'm saying full bore a lot, so I apologize. I have never actually said that word in my life. But anyways, uh, yeah. So hopefully later this year the full release, but 0.9 is upon us. So
Good. I'm excited for it because I really want to get into it properly, not just a one shot. Like, I want to actually for us to do a little bit of like
for sure.
at least a mini campaign, if nothing else. But I really
Yeah.
want to get more into it. Like watching your guys' videos and then having done the one shot, it's just been tantalizing for me because it's like I'm
Yeah.
being teased almost. Like I need to go a little bit more into it to really feel like I can give it a good, I don't know, a good shake by comparison to like how I've been
Mm.
full on into Daggerheart here. So I kind of want to get into
Yeah.
the DC 20 a little bit more. So I'm just saying.
I definitely love the Foundry stuff too. And yeah, we haven't really even talked about that. I would love to keep going with DC 20, so we'll have to get something on the books with the team to start a campaign or do another one shot or something. But love
Hell yeah.
being able to use Foundry in there. Subclasses should be coming, and the Foundry updates should be right after 0.9 sometime soon. So all that should be built into there rather quickly from what I'm tracking. So yeah, maybe coming up soon.
I hope so. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. But definitely looking forward to that.
Man, I think we covered everything. Unless there's something we're forgetting, probably.
Uh, No, we've already talked about the outlook, which I think was the main part. I think we wanted to really get across, besides the winner for the giveaway and all that. But yeah, I think that's the bulk of it. Quite honestly, let me ask you this. Actually, you know what? Let me ask you
Mm.
this. Do you see us doing D&D content anytime soon? Are you wanting to? Let me rephrase this. Are you wanting
Why
to?
are you why are you asking me that live on the spot?
I have to.
I
You know.
love D&D 5e. I will always love D&D 5e. I feel like it's something that I am ready to just pick up and go again whenever. I do think that right now, the way it's looking, I'm pretty set on DC 20 stuff as far as like what I'm running and leading and touching. You're probably pretty set on Daggerheart, right?
Yeah.
Fry's coming in pretty set on the Lancer stuff and other games as we sprinkle those in. So no, in a sense of like none of us three at least are really like pushing towards D&D 5e stuff. But if
Yeah.
any of you ever said, "Hey, we're gonna play D&D on Saturday at 2," I'd be like, "Yep,
Yeah.
I'm in. I'll make a character right now." Like I definitely want to keep playing it, but I just don't know if we're gonna cover it purposefully, at least in the immediate future.
Yeah.
Uh,
No. A part of me, like, I miss D&D a little bit. Like, there's a part of me that really misses it and like
it's
wants
like
to
your
get
first
into.
love, you know.
Yeah, it really is. You know.
Never
Um,
forget
I
about
didn't.
you.
I
But
didn't
I'm moving
start
on.
in on D&D. I started off with 7th C, and then I got in the World of Darkness.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So it wasn't my starting point, but it's actually where I fell in love with tabletop RPGs. I
Hmm.
enjoyed World of Darkness, but it's very much so that kind of horror and darkness sort of feel.
Yeah.
D&D was the
Probably
first
not a
time
good
I
one to
actually
start on.
experienced that sort of multi-themed capability that World of Darkness just couldn't really bring to the table, because it's just so heavy on the horror and the darkness side of things, which is why it's called
Right.
World of Darkness. But D&D brings in a lot of those different vibes, you could say, where you're
Hmm.
storming a castle, or where you're dealing with something horror, and vampire-esque like Strahd, or something monstrous like Tiamat. Like, you can get into all these different themes. So it's kind of where my first love was for RPGs,
Hmm.
and I think where I got a little too nerdy with it. But yeah, so
Understandable.
part of me
Good
misses it.
system. Easy for beginners and still okay for like the intermediate advanced players, but I think a lot of the people that are like D&D is their system, they play older stuff. I don't
You
think
know,
a lot of them play D&D 5e or they just homebrew it or like change all the rules to fit what their table likes, but
yeah.
it's good for starting out, definitely, in my opinion.
You know what it feels like? It feels like a culture. Like
That's
like
true.
it's the
Yeah.
like it's the American culture, and then when you go and experience like
Yeah.
the German culture or the Italian culture, you're like, oh my goodness, I absolutely love this. But you're only like vacationing in it. But when
Yeah.
you come back, you're like, you know what? I miss D&D. For a little bit you miss D&D, but yeah, it just feels like that anyway.
I mean, I don't think D&D is going away anytime soon anyway, so it's good that we'll still
No.
be able to follow it and like enjoy it even if we don't actively participate in it on the channel. I mean, I hope we will, and I'm sure we'll sprinkle it in, but
Oh yeah.
I just don't think we'll be able to right now. Also,
What?
gonna quick pause. T Dog is in the live chat. Appreciate you, T
Oh,
Dog, for showing up. I think you're like one of our first viewers to ever like pop in and say something, so appreciate that.
hell yeah.
Um, Definitely changing the world of TTRPGs, and yeah, D&D does seem like a long time ago. Even for me, it was like what 5 years maybe at this point when I first started. It feels like ages. I mean, I definitely am
Seriously.
not like an expert D&D player, but I feel like we played so many times in so long sessions, and we all rotated it around, and so I feel like I got a lot of exposure and experience to D&D, at least 5e specifically, but some other stuff too. So I feel like I have a good grasp of like D&D in general as a game system. Uh, but every time I see a new system, like you showed me Genesis, I'm like, what's going on here? You
Yeah.
show me Lancer, I'm like, what's going on here? DC 20 is a little bit more like D&D translatable, so I think that's really what's sticking out to me a lot. But it's its own thing in a way, and they're purposely trying to not do the same thing as D&D. So I love that DC 20's got a good mindset and focus on the development of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can agree with that for sure. Man, I was gonna say, are we getting more comments in here? What the hell?
We see you in there, Fry. It's just Fry.
Oh, it's just
Don't worry
Fry.
about him.
Yeah, I will say D&D has made it really easy to get other people into tabletop RPGs that no other system has been able to do up until this point. So I don't think I'll ever set aside D&D for that very reason, because I can get people into it really quickly because everyone's heard about it. It's got that name recognition, which is why I don't think there will ever be a D&D killer. Not legitimately, not really. There's games that are going to siphon off their assets and everything else, but nothing's going to actually legitimately kill D&D, I don't think. But I think we all kind of flirt with all these other systems, and eventually we find that. But when you lose your group, what do you end up going to when you start a new group? It's going to be D&D. Hate to say that, but it's going to be D&D. Unless you get some adventurous folks that are like, okay, it's something like D&D, of course I'll play that. But
right.
Very rare.
I'll say too, even in like just general communication with my family or friends or whatever that don't play tabletop role playing games, if they ask me like, hey, you want to hang out Saturday? I'm like, oh, I'm busy. I'm playing D&D. I'm probably not playing D&D. I'm probably playing DC-20 or something. But I use the name D&D because that's what everybody knows, and I need to break that. But
yeah,
to your point, D&D is widely known, I think, and especially COVID and all that happened. I think D&D in the world is a known thing.
Well, and especially with Critical Role and how they've really propped up D&D. I don't know if it would have been as popular if it wasn't for Critical Role at that point. I think it would have gained popularity slowly, but not this kind of stardom sort of moment that they have because of them. So
that's, man, I'm going to keep this live video going, but that's one thing for me, and I think I've maybe shared it with you briefly, but one thing that I really enjoy about tabletop role-playing games is not just to go and play and like, oh, let's role-play and let's talk through these fantasy characters. I love the experience. And that's why like in person is so hard to beat, because it adds to that experience. And I like, I'm limited in my DM skills, but I've done a few, and I always try to add an element that makes it an experience. Like when we're in person, one time visited my family back in Tennessee, got my brother and my cousins to play, did a Curse of Strahd thing during Halloween, put them in the smallest room we could find in the house, turned all the lights off, lit candles, had the speaker like in the closet to make it more muffled and like ambiance. Like I was all in. At one point when Strahd came out, I pulled the plug out of the lamp from behind me to like shut the lights off because the light switch was across the room. Like, I'm doing things like that. Scents, you can use scents, candles, crafts. I'm all about that.
And I mean, when you made these dragon eggs for us, and so this was for the Rise of Tiamat campaign that we did. Yeah. Mark made these little dragon eggs and gave each player, and of course me as the DM, a little dragon egg to kind of have with us. Ever since then, I put it on a plate, I lit some candles, and just left that in the center of the table to give it that ambience. When you've got the drinking, when you've got the bread and everything, like when my wife bakes, it's incredible. Like, it just,
every time she brought that huge pretzel out, I was like, yes.
It was so nostalgic when we have pretzels and beer.
2 more hours.
Mead. I mean, like, I could be here all night, So when Critical Role said that they were going to do their campaign finale for 8.5 hours, I said that sounds like a great time.
More comments. This is great, dude. I don't know how to keep up. My brother said he enjoys how fast-tracked DC-20 was. He's played D&D several times with some people where he lives near, but he said he liked fast-track D&D. T-Dog relates with me. He just calls it D&D even though he's playing DC-20.
Gosh dang. Yeah. It's just amazing how this actually gets into your life in such a big way, in ways that you don't even realize that it's going to get suffused, but it does. And it actually sometimes even opens the door when it comes to talking to other people. Because some people, like, even when I got here, some people already knew that I played D&D because one of my buddies from a deployment is actually here right now. So
talk about you. Small world.
Yeah, he already talked about it, but
we've been waiting on you. We hear you're a DM.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what it was too. They're like, I hear you DM for D&D. Would you do that for us?
Yeah. Now we got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, now we got a YouTube channel.
Now people are gonna know for sure.
But the thing is like that was a connection point almost immediately for all of us. Like all of a sudden I became more approachable just because I was a DM, and they opened up almost immediately. Like I felt like I got almost past that facade that a lot of people put up when you first meet them, and you get to the heart of what they really care about. And that's tabletop RPGs, getting into fantasy, killing goblins, just going to
Yeah.
town.
I'd say too that I like TTRPGs so much now that I'm not like shy about it, you know. If I
Yeah,
meet a
no.
new person, they're like, "Oh, what are you into?" I'm like, D&D," you know, like I don't care. I'll go right into it. I'm a nerd. I'm like, "Do you want to play?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Fine." I'm not shy about it anymore. So,
Well, I will say I had one experience that probably made me the happiest person on earth. We had one dude who was in, so I was deployed to Saudi Arabia, and we had about 8 to 9 guys at the table every Saturday night, and I think we did it a secondary night out of the week. I can't remember right now, but we were for sure every week Saturday night. This one guy was probably the most religious dude that you will ever meet. He was the nicest person. Just he loved football. He was the most American person out there. I think he
just
was
a
like from
patriot,
Texas.
football and
He was the
church.
the patriot. Going to church, football, shotguns. It was the whole thing. Like this guy was like that kind of person.
Military.
He laughed at us initially when we were playing D&D. He's like, "You want me to do what?" But then he became the most into it. Like out of everybody that we had, he got into it more than anybody else. To where he was playing a paladin because he said
Have to.
religion and I said I've got you. You're going to be a paladin. He gave the most rousing, inspirational speech that I've ever heard in my entire life. I gave the entire party inspiration for the entire night. Every single roll they could roll with inspiration. I don't even care because that was the most amazing speech I'd ever heard. It just felt so good, and
In
it
life
was a
and otherwise. Yeah.
yeah, and it happened because of an RPG. It happened because of D&D. You don't get those experiences playing video games. You don't get those
No.
experiences playing sports, funny enough. You don't have a lot of those amazing moments like you do at the
It's
table.
similar. It's like those, but there's no describing it. I remember
No.
several times in our sessions we played, I had those moments of like, oh my God, this is like the most fun I've ever had. This feels like something real, even though it's fantasy, right? I know that, but that's the great thing about TTRPGs, and I might have said this before, so not to go on a tangent, but the imagination is such a great thing that people look over, and as we grow up, we lose that usually,
Yeah.
right? In my opinion, from what I've seen, that's why kids are always so energetic and hyper and just think of the craziest things because their imagination is just overflowing. And as we get away from that, TTRPGs for me helps like keep that and recapture that. And when you can really like do it the right way and really like full on capture that imagination, that
Yeah.
there's not much that beats that in my opinion.
Well, and funny enough, this actually relates to the job in a big way too, because when we start
Oh
going through
yeah,
our exercises and we start talking about the what ifs for certain scenarios, like within the medical group,
critical thinking. Yeah,
it's critical thinking, but you're also role playing right then and there. Okay,
you are.
bio
Yeah.
team, how do you
Yeah.
respond to this IFE? Like, oh my goodness, wait, what? And so people start
They
talking
literally
about like what they do,
they
and
literally
then you,
call those tabletops. They're like, you want to tabletop it? They
yeah.
literally talk through what they're doing. That you are playing tabletop role playing games.
But instead of
Literally.
calling it a tabletop RPG, they call it a tabletop exercise.
Yeah. But I think that's
Same,
why a lot
same.
of people in the military like it because it's kind of part of our culture in a way of that type of talk through a scenario and get ready for it, see how it
Yeah,
plays out. And if you can control that and be a part of like actually driving the outcome, that's just fun.
yeah.
Um, Question two for you, T Dog, if you're still in the chat. Sorry. You made a comment about your wife. Does she play with you? Because that's great. If so, I know we've played with a couple of people that couples that play together, and it's always a pretty fun time. And that can
Except
help
for
too. Like the engagement with the couples can be really fun because they're not
can
afraid to banter off each other and things. Sometimes it gets disruptive, but
sometimes they are not afraid to tear each other down in certain moments, depending on what kind of week they're having.
yeah, that's true. It can be fun though.
It can be, especially when my wife is like not competitive. She's great to play with, but when she gets competitive, it gets brutal.
No, I like your wife. I remember I was maybe the first or second or third session. I don't know. It was early on, maybe the second one, and she was playing a rogue and just like doing all this bad shit and pickpocketing people. And I'm a cleric, so I'm over here like trying to follow every rule and not lie to people, and she's over there like in their pockets while I'm talking to them. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what she's doing, but I
Well,
love
I
it now.
loved it.
Looking back, I was so new, and I'm like, "How are you?" You know.
Well, I loved it because she was playing it like she'd play Skyrim. She's like, I want to
Oh yeah,
stealth.
yeah.
And I'm like, you're in the middle of a room. She's like, but I crouch. And I'm like, that doesn't mean anything.
I, I was getting like Fable vibes. If you guys ever played the Fable games,
Oh, yeah.
you can just go in and you can punch the shopkeeper, and he'll start to like chase you, but then you just hide real quick, and then it's all fine. I feel like that's how she was playing. I loved it.
Yo, she cut you on the rules, man. I tell you what, my wife was a stickler for the rules. She would literally, like, if I gave a player a cool moment, she'd want the same darn thing, even though she just couldn't separate the rules from the cool moments.
Yeah.
She would kill me every time. She's like, but why don't I get that? What are you doing?
I'm a
It's
rules
great.
guy, so I'd probably side with your wife.
No, but sometimes you got to give players those cool moments, like that's specific to them, where they almost defy gravity to some extent. But then they, if somebody starts expecting that to be the standard all of a sudden, it's like, okay, clearly I got to pull this back and I got to stop doing this. But, it's for the fun.
Fries in the chat. Ask him about jumping to the moon.
Cool. Sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah, cool moments are what it's all about. One time as a DM, I let a player tie a rat to a stick because he rolled a natural 20, and he's a blood hunter, so he kept using his rites of blood to catch it on fire, and he's just like killing everybody with this rat on a stick. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, because you
and
gave
I'm
it
never
weapon
allowed that.
damage.
But it was fun. I mean, after a couple hits, that rat's going to disintegrate. But I didn't think of that in the moment.
In the moment, he kept using it.
It was like the rest of the campaign he was using that thing. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. But
see you
all
around,
right,
T-Dog. Thanks for coming in and chatting with us for a bit.
yeah, I think this is actually where we're gonna wrap this up, right? I feel like that's
Let's
the
do it.
natural ending right there, man. Rat on a
That's it.
stick, rat on a rope. Oh shoot! Well, thank you again to all of our subscribers. I mean, it's so cool being at 200 subs. Like that was incredible for us. So absolutely love that. We got to get with the winner, get him to start talking about the dice bag, and I'll get that made and we'll get that over to him. So, but y'all, until the next one, keep that shield wall strong.
Keep that shield wall strong. I'm not going to try to match it because it won't work.
Yeah.